The first flame. The stars looked calm, quiet, peaceful, but peace is always an illusion in deep space. The ship Star Chaser screamed through the sky, fire trailing behind it. Its engines were dead, navigation broken. Sparks flew inside the cockpit. The only human on board, Eli Draven, struggled to stay conscious. Blood trickled from a cut on his forehead. Alarms kept shouting. Critical failure, impact in 15 seconds. He whispered, "Not how I planned to die." The ship crashed through thick clouds and slammed into the surface of a strange green-glowing planet. The ground shook. Trees burned. Then silence. Eli didn't wake up for hours. When he did, everything hurt. His suit was torn. The ship was a wreck. He crawled out, coughing, stepping onto the alien ground. The air was breathable, somehow. He took a deep breath and looked around. Massive trees surrounded him, taller than any on Earth. The sky above had two suns, one red, one gold. The wind whispered through the leaves like it carried secrets. But something felt off, too quiet. Then he saw it, a mark on the ground. Huge. A footprint. 4 long toes, claws deep in the earth. Eli froze. This wasn't in the flight data. He followed the trail slowly, carefully. The prints were spaced far apart. Whatever made them was fast. Suddenly the wind changed. The air grew hot. A shadow passed overhead. Eli looked up and his heart stopped. It flew across the sky, wings wide as a stadium roof. Scales shimmered like stars. It didn't flap like a bird. It glided, silent and smooth. Then it roared. The sound was ancient, deep. It wasn't just heard, it was felt in the bones, in the soul. Eli dropped to the ground, not hiding, just overwhelmed. That was a dragon, he whispered. An actual alien dragon. As the sun began to set, he built a small camp from broken parts of the ship. He used a heat rod to keep warm and set up motion sensors. He couldn't sleep. He didn't want to. That night he stared at the sky. The stars above were unfamiliar. He was completely alone. No signal. No rescue. But then, he felt something. A strange pull in his mind. Not pain, not fear, just presence. He turned and saw it. Across the clearing, hidden partly in the trees, 2 glowing eyes watched him. Huge. Intelligent. "Don't run," he whispered to himself. He didn't move. The dragon stepped into view. Slowly. Its body was sleek, covered in dark metallic scales. Firelight reflected off its wings, but it didn't attack, it didn't growl, it studied him. And then, Eli heard a voice, but not with his ears. It was inside his head. "You do not belong here, fireless one." He gasped. "What? Who? How?" Your heart speaks loud. Fear, but also something else. Curiosity. The dragon took one slow step closer. It was still 10 meters away, but it felt closer. Eli forced himself to stand. "I mean no harm." Silence. Then the voice returned. Many said the same, before the burning. Eli frowned. The burning? What happened here? The dragon's eyes narrowed. For a moment, the fire in its chest glowed brighter, then dimmed. "You are not the first human to fall from the sky." Eli's breath caught. "Others, but Earth has no records of—" They came. They lied. They tried to steal the flame. Eli took a small step forward. "I don't know what they did, but I'm not them." The dragon tilted its head, curious now. "You speak like a child, but your voice is strong, stronger than most." Another step, then another. The dragon leaned in. Its breath smelled like ozone and smoke. And still it didn't strike. "Tell me, human, what burns inside you?" Eli met its gaze. Hope, a pause. Then the dragon stepped back into the shadows and vanished. The next morning, Eli woke up wondering if it was all a dream. But when he walked out of the wreckage, he saw something written in the dirt near the fire pit. Large claw marks, shaped like letters. Return tonight. The flame listens. The mines roar. Eli waited by the fire. The night air on this alien planet was colder than before. The wind whispered again, but now it sounded less like wind and more like voices, whispers, long forgotten. Watching, he added more debris to the fire. Pieces of the ship, melted wires, broken tools. Flames danced. Shadows moved. Then, a tremor. A breath. A sound like thunder, but not from the sky, from behind him. Eli turned slowly. The dragon had returned. It moved like smoke and shadow, huge but silent. Its wings folded in as it stepped into the light. Its eyes glowed like dying stars. But this time, there was something different. It was watching him, yes, but also waiting. Eli swallowed hard. I came back. The dragon didn't speak at first. Then the voice came again, in his mind. You kept your word. That is rare. I said I would, Eli replied. You asked me what burns inside me, it's still hope. The dragon tilted its head. Hope is a soft flame, easily crushed. Maybe, but it lights dark places. A long pause. Then the dragon moved closer, slowly, carefully. It lowered its head, placing its great skull inches from Eli. He didn't back away. He couldn't. He was frozen, not with fear, but awe. Then suddenly, a flash, a pulse in his head, like thunder in his skull. Eli cried out, grabbing his head. His knees hit the ground. The fire blurred, and then he was no longer in the forest. He was somewhere else, a battlefield. Flames everywhere, broken ships, screaming, dragons, hundreds, roaring in pain and fury. Flying through explosions, and among them, humans, soldiers in armor, firing, burning, laughing, and a young dragon, small, barely grown, crying out as it was chained. The pain was unbearable. Then, darkness. Eli gasped. He was back by the fire, sweat on his skin, heart racing. What was that? The dragon stared. My memory. A scar that never faded. You felt it. You showed me? No. You saw it. Because I allowed it. Eli sat down, breathing heavily. That's why you hate us. Not hate. Just silence. We do not forget, and we do not forgive easily. But I didn't do that. I wasn't there. You are human. You carry their fire, even if you didn't start it. Eli looked into the dragon's glowing eyes. So why did you let me see that? The dragon leaned closer. Because something in you does not burn like them. You came with fire in your heart, but no weapon in your hand. A gust of wind blew, and for the first time, Eli noticed something carved into the dragon's scales. Markings, symbols, glowing faintly, like old wounds turned to stories. What are those? Eli asked. The dragon looked away. Memories, names, the ones I could not save. The silence grew heavy. Then Eli said softly, What's your name? The dragon paused. Then answered Calith. Eli nodded. Calith, I'm Eli Draven. You are a fireless one, Eli Draven, but your flame is loud. Calith suddenly turned his gaze to the sky. The storm comes. What storm? Eli stood up, eyes scanning the sky. Then he saw it. Lightning in the distance, clouds moving, fast. But there was no rain. The lightning was blue, and it crackled unnaturally. Not sky storm, Calith growled. A mind storm, a roar of thought. What does that even mean? Calith stepped back. Others are waking, Not all are like me. Some remember only war, and they have smelled your fire. Eli felt a chill. Wait. Others? Other dragons? Kaleth nodded. Vorak, the red wound, he lives still, and he hates all that walks on two legs. A gust of wind hit them. Eli grabbed onto a metal pipe to steady himself. Kaleth spoke quickly now. Urgent. You must be tested. If you wish to survive what comes, you must open your mind. Show me your truth. Eli blinked. You want to see my memories? No. You will show me. Through a story. A story? That is how we measure fire. Not by battle, but by tale. Eli sat down, breath shaky. A story, from Earth, from his life. He looked into the fire, then into Kaleth's ancient eyes, and he began. When I was 10, I got lost in the woods back home. A storm hit. I had no light, no food. Just fear. I cried, I waited, I screamed. No one came. But I remembered something my mother told me. She said, if you're scared, imagine you're not. Play the hero. Pretend. The fear is just a story. So I did. I made up a tale. I imagined I was a space explorer, a knight, a fire wielder, and somehow, that lie gave me the strength to keep moving. I walked through the dark. I made it out alive. That story saved me. Kaleth said nothing. Then, softly, you shaped truth from fear. That is power. Suddenly, his eyes flared. Vorak approaches. You must leave this place. Come with me now. Where? To the Skybones, the graveyard of fire. It is time you learned what humans really did here. Eli stood, heart pounding. You're trusting me. No. I am testing you. This story is not over yet, Fireless One, and not all dragons will listen to words. They vanished into the night. Behind them, the wind roared like a scream. Stories of fire. The world around Eli had changed, not just in shape, but in silence. He followed Kaleth through jagged hills, glowing rocks and ancient ruins that looked older than Earth itself. Pillars stretched into the sky like broken teeth. Strange glowing glyphs hovered in the air, floating like dust, whispering in a language he couldn't understand. They were entering the Skybones, the graveyard of fire. Here, dragons came to die, or remember. Eli looked around. Hundreds of dragon skeletons, massive, beautiful, terrifying, lay scattered across the land. Their bones glowed faintly in the dark. Some were covered in moss. Others were turned into stone. It was beautiful and deeply haunting. Kaleth's voice echoed in his mind. This is where the war ended, and where it still echoes. Eli whispered, What war? Kaleth didn't answer. Not yet. They entered a deep cavern beneath the bones. Inside, the air shimmered with heat. Lava rivers flowed through cracks in the stone and the walls pulsed with ancient fire. The air was thick with memory. And then, they arrived. 6 dragons waited inside. Each one different, bigger than Kaleth, older, wiser, and far less friendly. Their eyes glowed like molten gold. Their wings curled like thrones, and their gaze locked on Eli like he was prey, or worse, a mistake. Kaleth bowed his head, comes not to conquer, but to speak. One dragon growled deep and slow. The last one said the same, and left us in chains. Another hissed, her voice sharp like a blade. Why bring this soft blood here? Why stain the Skybones with his breath? Eli stepped forward, heart thumping like a drum. I didn't come to lie. I came to learn. To listen. Silence. Then Kaleth turned to Eli. Tell your story, Fireless One. If they find it true, you may leave with your life. Eli took a breath. The chamber trembled slightly with every exhale of the dragons. Then, he began. Back on Earth, there was a man named Rio. He was a writer, poor, sick, almost forgotten. He had nothing, no family, no friends, but every day he wrote stories, stories of dragons, stars, courage. People laughed, publishers rejected him. He went hungry, but still he wrote. Why? Because he believed that one day someone would read his words and they'd matter. He didn't fight with swords. He fought with hope. And years later, a boy found his old book. That boy was me. And that story changed my life. It helped me survive my darkest days. Rio never knew, but he lit a fire that kept someone else warm. That's why I believe in stories. They outlive us. The room was silent. Even the lava seemed to still. Then a soft hum rose from one of the dragons, a deep, mournful tone. The dragon closed its eyes. Another one whispered almost to herself. The boy of words. Rio. His flame still walks. But then, a boom. The cave shook. Dust rained down from the ceiling. Kalith roared. Vorak. Eli's heart dropped. He's here. He never left. He watches. He listens. And now he's coming. From the entrance of the cavern came a growl that sounded like a mountain dying. And then he stepped in. Vorak the Red Wound. He was massive, twice Kalith's size. His wings looked torn by war. His scales were cracked, glowing red from within. One of his eyes was blind. The other burned like a sun. His voice rumbled across the stone. You bring a human here to speak lies in sacred flame? Kalith stepped forward. He speaks truth. He brings no weapon. Vorak snarled. Words are weapons, and humans use them to hide their claws. He looked at Eli. Did you think your little story would change thousands of years of fire and blood? Eli met his gaze, trembling, but he didn't look away. No, he said. But I had to try. Vorak's head lowered. A slow growl built in his chest. His claws dug into the ground. Then die with your hope. He opened his mouth, fire building in his throat, but suddenly, Kalith stood between them. You'll have to burn me, too. Gasps filled the chamber. Kalith's voice thundered. You speak of old flames, but this boy is not those who came before. He carries fire of a different kind, the kind that builds, not destroys. Vorak growled. Naive. But he didn't strike. He turned, snorted, and walked away. But his words echoed. Let him speak, let him dream. But when his kind returns, and they will, I will burn your stories with them. Then he was gone. The room was silent again. One of the elders looked at Eli. You survived Vorak. That is no small thing. Another said, your story touched us. That is rarer than survival. Kalith stepped forward. You are now bound to the Flame Pact, Eli Draven. You are not dragon. Not yet, brother. But not enemy. Eli let out a shaky breath. Thank you. But then one dragon asked, if you were given the chance to return to Earth, would you go? Eli looked at the bones around him. The fire, the pain, the strange, powerful beings before him, and Kalith, who had risked his life for a single story. He answered, no, not yet. There's more I need to learn. Far above the chamber, Vorak perched on a cliff, staring into the stars. And far beyond the stars, something else stirred. Something not dragon, not human, but watching and waiting. Ashes of the past. The sky above the sky bones turned black. Not from clouds. Not from night. From memory. Kalith flew low across the ruins, wings stretched like sails, carrying Eli on his back. The wind whipped Eli's face. The world below moved fast. Mountains, rivers, fields of stone, and ruins. So many ruins. Where are we going? Eli shouted over the wind. To the first flame, Kalith answered. Where the truth sleeps. They landed in a crater, but not just any crater. It was a hole in the world, wide and deep, like something massive had fallen from the sky and cracked the planet. At the center stood a black monolith, half-buried, pulsing with blue light. Eli jumped off Calith's back. "What is that?" "A shard of your past," Calith said. "A piece of a human ship, but not yours." Eli walked closer. Symbols covered its surface, faded logos, scorch marks, and then he saw it. Earth Military, Project Dragonfall status. Black Ops mission, capture, weaponize, extract. His breath caught. This is real?" Calith nodded. "Long ago, your kind came. They found us, and saw not life, but weapons. They captured hatchlings, tried to use our fire. They called it energy. We called it pain." Eli stepped back. "But Earth never said anything about this. We never learned about a mission like this in school. No records, no mentions." Calith's eyes narrowed. "Because lies burn cleaner than truth." Eli ran his hand over the metal. It was cold, dead, but deep inside. He heard a hum. He found a cracked console and brushed away dust. A faint light blinked. A button. He pressed it. The machine sparked to life. A hologram flickered above the console. A man appeared, wearing an Earth military uniform. Log entry 017, Captain Merrick Saul, Day 39 of Operation Dragonfall. The man looked tired. Hollow. "The dragons resist control. They learn faster than we can predict. Our loss rate is increasing. Command wants more results, but I've seen their eyes. They're not beasts. They understand. They feel. I tried to warn HQ. No response, just orders to keep pushing. If anyone finds this, forgive us. We were wrong." The recording ended. Eli stood frozen. His voice cracked. "We did this." Calith didn't speak. He didn't need to. They camped near the monolith that night. The wind howled like ghosts. Eli sat by a low fire, staring at the hologram projector. He didn't know what to think anymore. Everything. He believed about his world, Earth, humanity, progress, yet it was ash. Calith lay nearby, watching. "What you feel now is the pain we felt long ago. I didn't do it. But it was done in your name." Eli looked up. "Why didn't the dragons attack Earth?" "Because we are not like you. Revenge is easy. Memory is harder." Suddenly Calith lifted his head. "We are not alone." Out of the shadows came movement. A figure in a cloak. Not a dragon, a human, but not quite. His face was pale, eyes bright with something unnatural. And his voice was cold. "Impressive, Draven, you found it." Eli stood up. "Who?" "Name Silas Rook. Special Research Branch. The real Project Dragonfall never ended. We've just been waiting for the next signal." He stepped into the light. His jacket bore an old Earth logo, but updated. Sleeker. Modern. Calith growled. "Another thief, another fire taker." Rook smiled. "Let's not get dramatic. I'm here for the data. That shard contains the original flame extraction protocol, energy that could power colonies for centuries." "You're too late," Eli snapped. "This place is sacred. You can't just take it." "Oh, I'm not here to ask." Rook lifted a small remote. He pressed it, and the monolith began to hum louder. The light inside turned red. Calith reared up. "He's activating the core. It will awaken the buried flame," Eli shouted. "What's the buried flame?" Calith's eyes widened. "A weapon. One even we forgot. One meant to kill gods." The ground cracked. The monolith split open. Fire burst out, and from deep underground came something old, something forged in betrayal, a mechanical dragon, built from dragon parts and human tech, gigantic, silent, glowing with red circuits and ancient fire. Calith backed away. "They tried to copy us. They failed, but they left this abomination behind." Rook smiled. "Behold, Ignis Protocol, dragonfire in machine form, no emotion, no memory, just power." The beast turned its head toward them, and it began to charge. Calith grabbed Eli and took to the sky just as fire exploded where they stood. Eli shouted, "That thing will destroy everything!" Calith banked hard. It cannot be killed by fire alone. Only a true story can unmake a lie. Eli frowned. What the hell does that mean? Calith growled. It means your next tale may be your last. The machine chased them through the ruins. Its wings tore through stone. Its breath melted metal. But Eli saw something. On its chest, the same logo from the monolith. Calith. I have an idea. Get me close. The dragon roared upward and dove. Eli aimed a plasma cutter at the logo, carving through metal mid-air. He shouted over the storm. You are not a dragon, you are a lie, and I've seen the truth. The machine faltered, its flame dimmed, and for a moment the fire inside it flickered, like it remembered. Eli pressed the hologram projector against its core. Captain Saul's last words played again. They're not beasts. They understand. They feel. The mechanical dragon froze and collapsed. Silence. Ashes fell like snow. Calith landed, smoke curling from his wings. Eli stood by the broken machine, heart pounding. It stopped, he whispered. It remembered. Calith looked at him. Because you gave it a story, one it could believe in. Silas Rook was gone, fled, but Eli knew he'd be back, with more, with worse. But now he also knew this. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was part of something much bigger. A story not just about dragons or humans, but about the truth they both tried to forget, and the fire that could bring them together, or destroy everything. The fire within. The ruins were quiet, not peaceful, not calm, just holding its breath. Eli stood alone at the center of the ashen circle, the oldest place in dragon memory. Giant black stones rose around him like broken wings. The sky above was a mix of stars and smoke. It felt like standing at the edge of time, and he was being watched. From the cliffs above, dragons sat in silence. Dozens of them, some old, some young, some with eyes full of curiosity, others full of hate, and at the front, wings stretched like storm clouds, stood Vorik, the red wound. Calith landed beside Eli. This is your moment, he said softly. You asked to speak. They've come to listen. But if your fire fails? No. Eli nodded. Then I burn. Vorik leapt down into the circle. The ground shook. His voice rolled like thunder. Human, you stand on sacred flame. Speak your truth and know this. If your words are hollow, you will die before your last sentence. Eli nodded. He stepped forward. Heart thumping, hands trembling. I've told stories before, about others, about hope, about heroes. He paused. But this one is about me. I was 13 when the fire started. Not this fire, not dragon fire, a different kind, the kind that doesn't light a room, just burns it down. My father was a soldier, cold, sharp, unbreakable, on the outside, but inside, he was full of shadows. He came back from war with broken bones and darker things, things he wouldn't talk about, things that talked to him at night. One day I dropped a plate, just a plate, and something in him snapped. He didn't hit me, but he looked at me like I was the enemy, like I wasn't a son, just a threat. From that day, I stopped being a child. I became a survivor. I told myself stories to stay sane. I imagined I had powers, that I could breathe fire, that I could fly away. But I couldn't. I had no wings, only silence. I lived with him until I was 17. The day I left, he didn't say a word, just watched me go, and I swore I would never be like him. Never carry that kind of flame. Not the kind that burns others, but the kind that lights the way. Silence. Even the wind was still. Vorik's eyes narrowed. You speak of pain, but what has that to do with dragons? Eli met his gaze. Everything. Because I know what it means to be made into something you're not. To be used. Feared. Misunderstood. To be told your fire is dangerous. You think I came here to trick you? To steal your power? No. I came here because I finally found something like me. Something that knows what it means to be more than the world believes. You are not monsters. You are memory, and memory is fire. A dragon nearby let out a low hum, a sound of recognition, of sorrow. Then another. Vorak looked around and he growled, "Words are easy, but pain is not." Eli stepped closer. "Then let me share mine." He knelt, took out a small recording chip, and activated it. A message played. From Earth. Static. But the voice came through. "This is Commander Alara Draven. I'm looking for my son, Eli. If anyone hears this, please, he's all I have left." The recording stopped. Eli looked up. "My mother. She thinks I'm dead. I crashed here months ago, no signal, no way home, but I haven't tried to contact her, not yet because I can't go back until I finish this." Vorak said nothing. Then he stepped forward, one claw raised and lowered, right in front of Eli, not to strike, but to draw a mark in the ash, a symbol. Peace. Kaleth gasped. So did many dragons above. Vorak spoke. "You carry fire well, Eli Draven, the kind we forgot existed. Perhaps your kind has changed." Just then, a shadow passed overhead. Kaleth looked up. No, not now. The sky cracked. Ships. Earth ships, descending fast. Dozens. Some sleek and silver. Some black and silent. Military class. Rook had returned. But not with words. With war. Eli stood, heart frozen. "We're too late." Kaleth growled, wings flaring. "Then let them come. The sky remembers. And now, so do we." The battle for the sky. The sky was no longer blue. It was fire. Human ships dropped from orbit like blades. Dozens of them, some sleek and silver, others jet black with red insignias. Their engines screamed, missiles locked, shields pulsed, and at the center of them, Silas Rook, smiling. From the ground below, Eli stared in horror as Kaleth spread his wings. "They're scanning for targets," the dragon said. "If we move, they fire." Eli turned to Vorak. "They don't know we're peaceful." Vorak snarled. "They don't care." In the command ship, Rook stood with arms behind his back. "Begin descent. Target heat signatures. Dragons first. Human subject is secondary." His second-in-command hesitated. "Sir, he's one of ours." "He made his choice," Rook snapped. "He picked the beasts. Burn him with them." Down below, dragons rose into the sky. Hundreds. Wings beating like thunder. Ancient scales glowing with rage. From every cliff and ruin they launched into the clouds, a firestorm in motion, Vorak at the lead. Kaleth at Eli's side. The war was beginning. Eli climbed onto Kaleth's back. "Take me up. I have to talk to them." Kaleth shook his head. "They won't listen. They have to." The dragon took off. Together they flew through smoke and stars, past flaming comets of falling ships, dodging missiles and laser fire. Above, human fighters zoomed toward them. Eli Draven. "Stand down!" a voice shouted from a ship's speaker. Eli grabbed the comlink. "This is Eli. Stop firing. The dragons aren't the enemy." Static. Then, "Target acquired. Firing." The missile launched. Kaleth twisted midair, barrel rolling between the trees of clouds. The missile missed, but barely. "That was a warning," Eli said, jaw clenched. "The next won't be." Kaleth's wings folded. "Then it's time to fight." But before the dragon struck back, Eli saw something. A signal. An idea. A way to stop the war. "Kaleth, fly me to the tallest tower in the ruins." "Why?" "I need to tell a story." The dragon didn't argue. They dove. Below, in the ruins, stood the spires of flame. Ancient dragon structures once used for song, memory, and communication. Kaleth landed on the top spire. Eli jumped off, ran to the edge, and flipped open his emergency communicator. He patched into the fleet's audio channel. "Attention Earth Command. This is Eli Draven. I am alive, and I'm asking you, no, begging you, to stop this." Up in the ships, pilots paused. Commanders looked at one another. The broadcast was on every channel. Eli's voice echoed. "You think dragons are monsters? They're not. They're history, pain, memory. And yeah, some of that is scary. But you didn't come here to protect Earth. You came to take what you couldn't create. You came to steal fire." Again. In the command ship, Rook snarled. "Shut it down." But the tech officer shook her head. "Sir, the signal's coming from the central frequency. Everyone's hearing it. Even Earth." Rook's eyes widened. "Even? Cut it! Now!" Eli kept speaking. "I didn't survive a crash. I landed in the middle of truth. I didn't learn to fight dragons. I learned to listen to them." He looked to the skies. "And if this is the last thing I ever say, then let it be this. We don't need another war to prove we're powerful. We need peace to prove we're human." The dragons heard, the ships heard, and for one moment, everything paused. Then, Kalith roared. But not in rage, in unity. A dragon song rippled across the skies, deep, echoing, full of sorrow and strength. A sound not of war but memory, and from below, 1,000 more voices joined, every dragon, every elder, every flame. Together, the skybones sang. High above, some human pilots began pulling back. I can't do this," one muttered. "He's right." "Standing down," said another, returning to orbit. But Rook's command ship didn't stop. He activated his override system. If peace wouldn't work, he'd end it all himself. Back in the ruins, Eli saw it. A glowing charge at the bottom of the ship. He shouted into Kalith's ear. "They're going to nuke the site." Kalith launched upward. The final chase began. Kalith dodged flak blasts, weaving between ship wings and falling debris. Other dragons joined him, Vorak included, shielding Eli with their bodies, diving like meteors. They broke through. To Rook's ship, Kalith landed with a smash. Eli ran inside, weaponless, heart pounding. He found Rook in the control room. "Stop it," he yelled. Rook looked at him, dead calm. "We never stopped, Eli. We just learned to wait." He pressed the detonator, but nothing happened. Behind him, Vorak appeared, claws glowing. He had crushed the reactor. Rook turned, stunned. "You," Vorak growled. "I am no longer your weapon." With a blast of red fire, Vorak melted the control panel. Eli looked at him. "You saved us. You saved me first." The human fleet retreated. No more missiles, no more war, just smoke and silence and survival. Later, back on the ground, Kalith and Eli stood on a cliff as dawn rose. The sky was orange, warm, finally calm. Eli turned to Kalith. "So what happens now?" Kalith looked to the stars. "Now we build something new, not with fire, with story. And if Earth comes again, then let them come. This time they'll find dragons who don't forget, and a human who remembers." Tales Beyond the Flame. The war was over, but the sky still remembered. Ash floated through the air like snow. The ruins still glowed with fire that would take centuries to fade. And in the heart of the skybones, Eli Draven stood before the flame one last time. This time, not as a stranger, but as something more. Days had passed since the human fleet left. Some dragons still watched the stars, waiting for another wave. But most had turned their gaze inward, to healing, to rebuilding, to remembering. Kalith walked beside Eli through the burned ruins. "You brought peace to a war no one else could end," Kalith said, "and you did it without fire." Eli smiled, tired but alive. "I didn't bring peace. I just reminded people why they should want it. They walked in silence for a moment. Then Calith added, "The elders have decided. They want to give you a gift." Eli raised an eyebrow. "A gift from dragons? That sounds terrifying. Only if you misuse it." That evening, Eli was summoned to the Circle of Memory. Hundreds of dragons stood in formation around a spiraling pillar of flame. The fire didn't burn upward. It danced sideways, forming shapes, symbols, fragments of memory. Vorak stood at the front, now quieter, slower, almost wise. Calith beside him. "Step forward," Vorak said, "and kneel." Eli did. One by one, dragons came forward, each breathing a small wisp of flame onto the pillar. With every flame, an image formed, moments from Eli's story, him standing in the ruins, him telling his truth, him facing Rook, him saving them, and then the flames. Whispered together, "Fire remembers." Calith turned to him. "We have a question for you." Eli nodded. "Ask. Do you wish to return to Earth?" Silence. He looked down at his communicator. His mother's last message still unread. He missed her. Missed home. But what was home now? He looked at the dragons, the stories, the ruins, the pain, and the hope. "I can't leave yet," he said softly. "There's more to do here." That night, Eli began building something new. Not with stone, not with steel, with story. He called it the Skybound Archive, a vast memory chamber, half cave, half shipwreck, lined with carvings, symbols, and digital logs. A place where dragons and humans could store their stories side by side. Pain, triumph, fire, forgiveness. And at the center of the archive, a single flame, the memory flame. It would burn forever. One day, while alone in the archive, Eli found something buried beneath the wreckage. An old journal. Not his, but Captain Saul's, the same man from the original Project Dragonfall, the man who tried to stop it. He opened it, flipping through faded pages. At the end, one line caught his breath. "If you find this, know that stories are stronger than science, because stories make us human." Weeks later, Calith and Eli stood at the edge of the world. Literally. There was a cliff known as the Final Flight, where dragons once left offerings for the dead. Now it was empty. Silent. Calith looked at him. "The archive is complete." Eli nodded. "Now what?" "Now, you fly." Eli blinked. "Wait, what?" Calith crouched low. "You are no longer fireless. You carry flame inside. We are bonded now. I offer you flight." Eli hesitated, then climbed on, and together, they launched into the sky. They flew higher than ever before, above the clouds, above the wind, into the cold layer where even fire had to hold its breath. The stars were close now. And from here, the world looked small, not weak, but beautiful. Calith said nothing. He didn't need to, because Eli could feel it in his chest, a hum of fire, of trust, of story, and then something new. In the distance, another light blinked. Not a star. Ship.Earth was calling. They had heard the broadcast. They had heard the story. And now, they were coming. But this time, not to conquer, to talk, to listen, to remember. Eli smiled. They're ready for the next chapter. The dragons circled around him in the sky, forming a spiral. The stars twinkled, brighter. The flame inside the archive lit the clouds from below, and Eli spoke, his voice strong, clear, steady. He didn't tame dragons with chains. He tamed them with tails, and in return, they gave him the sky.